Well, let's talk about how you gave up education or school and teaching.
Whew.
Right. So I think that's important because not just about the career goals and all that conversation, right? Blah, blah, blah. It's more like this generation, I feel like there's two types of folks, right? It's either people are not scared and want to take a leap of faith and on their career and on their lives. But then there's also some people who are just so reserved and scared at that leap. And I feel like you embody a little bit of both.
Yeah.
So how do you, what's some motivation you want to give to the world? Like, you gave up some shit you was comfortable in and damn good at for, and you say, y'all, when motherfuckers say manifest, this motherfucker right here manifested. Like, I remember sitting with her. I want to say we was at a bar or something. Mind you, I don't drink. And like, when I get some cranberry and lemonade or some weird shit.
Boozy shit.
Don't do me. Not the boost.
Oh, was it the one on Lakeshore?
Yes, where the nigga was trying to make me a drink over and over again. And that shit was just so nasty.
He was going to pour this drink in your face after this.
It was like 4 drinks and it was like,
no, I got it. I'm like, just give her some water, bro.
And I no cap, first time having this conversation, I thought you was just drunk. I was like, okay, yep, Sis looked at me and she was like, yeah, I'm going to quit by the end of this year. And I was like, yeah, all right. And she was like, no, I'm serious. And I was like, oh shit, light skin is serious. Like, you had your hat on, you know how you have your hat.
I love my backwards.
You know? She had her hat on and she was like, I'm about to quit my job and I'm going to have to find another one because I'm going to quit. And damn it, you did.
Ooh, I was stressed.
To the last minute. The last. So talk about it.
At the universe being like, you gonna ask me to trust you and this what you gonna do?
Like, so talk about how you like, what made you jump? What made you be like, you know what, I'm gonna trust me and not the system?
I was so tired of the bullshit. I was so exhausted. Like, first of all, if you work in public education and you're working with a demographic that I do, so whatever you want to call that, inner city, urban, low socioeconomic, with the niggas is what all that translates to. And let me not just say niggas, let me be correct. POCs, BIPOCs. Sorry, I fixed it. BIPOCs. Thank you. It's, you are asked to do everything. Don't let you be competent. Oh, Jesus. If you are competent at your job, which I very much was, I was very good at my job.
A competent black woman.
Shout out. You take on everything. You get asked to do everything.
They become intimidated of you and try to...
and they try to fuck out you. And it was exhausting. I was working at least 70 to 75 hours a week. And I wasn't having weekends. I wasn't seeing my family that much. Like,
she missed my graduation.
Actually, I did for kids. Yeah. For the kids.
Shout out to the kids, though. They needed you. But
I love them. But yeah, all of this stuff. And it was like there was a moment where I woke up and was like, oh, this system ain't even built for us to thrive, number one. But it's not built for me to do any of the work that I set out to do.
Can you talk about it?
Like, I was like, I want to come here and I want to help kids that grew up in a space like I grew up to have, like, ability, access, opportunity. I want to help them with their mindset. And, you know, I had really finessed by my last 2 years, I had really finessed my schedule to be low key exactly what I wanted it to be. I was no longer wanting to be in science. So I'm a scientist, biochemist.
Oh, she's smart.
And by the time I left, I wasn't teaching chemistry anymore. But it was because I had started to recognize, like, we really out here creating these worker bees. We are really creating kids that are not having original thought. They're not creative. We don't hone and elevate any of their natural talents. Like, I have so many kids that are amazing entrepreneurs. And we don't do anything for that. We don't tap into none of that. We don't tap into your identity, no self-awareness, nothing. And so I had really gotten to a point where I was creating a class that I could do all of those things. I could, you know, we can have our meditation Mondays. We can talk about what actual leadership is. We can talk about self-awareness. You had people that, you know, I was having my kids, they had accountability buddies that they talked to about deep shit regularly because I would pose questions and all this other stuff. But I was also helping them learn, you know, like, what is it? I mean, let me phrase that. I didn't help them learn what they loved. I helped them amplify what it is they love. So especially joining that class of leadership, you picked a thing to do. So like whether you were the public relations person that loved community outreach, or you were someone who loved like social media and graphic design, you were like, you know, commissioner of social media. If you were the one who really had this artistic ability, you did publicity, which means you made all of the like drawing and artwork and all of this stuff. And people who were just naturally great leaders, you led the class. So it was getting a chance to allow kids to shine in this way that was non-traditional academic, because so much of traditional academia does not ask you to think. It asks you to regurgitate information, and you lose all sense of identity. You lose creativity. You lose originality. All of those things where I'm like, oh, this ain't doing none of the stuff that I was asking y'all, that I came here to do. And that mixed in with dealing with a shit ton of racism and a whole lot of white savior complexes all damn day. I was just like, you know what? This ain't it. And it was tough because I had really decided, like, you know, we talk about like me being a minimalist. Like, I was never going into a job for the money. Like, if that was the case, I'm a fucking biochemist. Like, you know how many jobs I could have done out of college that would have made me like hundreds of thousands of dollars more at this point in my life. Like, but I just was like, you know, I'd rather be happy doing something every day rather than unhappy and paid, you know? But I just was getting to a point where it's like, I'm here, I'm on the ground floor, I'm doing the work. And now I'm realizing that the work I'm doing takes us 2 steps forward, and our system, our educational system, our admin always takes us 8 steps back.
Which saddens me. It really does.
So it's just, I'm never going to land where I'm never going to move this forward. And I think it's important for me to point out for people, I definitely made a difference in the lives of kids, certain kids, whatever. I had an impact. Like, you know, I still talk to my kids all the fucking time. Like, but I was never looking, my vision was not so small sided to individual kids. I was happy to do that and I loved doing that. But my thing was, I need to change something structurally so that this as a whole works better for everybody. And realizing at some point, they are never going to allow you to do that. They will always work against you when you're trying to do that. I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm not, the fuck?
Yeah.
What I look like working this many hours for this little bit of money, and y'all don't actually want the change you keep running your mouth about. Like, so, you know, I'm good. Y'all can keep your savior complexes. And I was like, I got to go do something else. And, you know, I need to also find balance, because that was the other thing too. It's like they'll work you. I worked insane hours, and I had no balance in my life. Zero. And now it's like, one of the things I wrote down when I was looking for a new job is, I want to be able that when I get off of work, I don't want to think about work again to the next day that I have to get there. And when it comes to the weekend, I want to log off on a Friday, and I don't want to think about it again until I have to log back in on a Monday. Like, I want to do other things, because like all of this shit wouldn't happen if I was still teaching. Like, I wouldn't have started a creative project. I wouldn't have been able to like tap into any of the stuff. I wouldn't have done any of that. So to me, it's like my goal in life is still the same. It's just, I'm trying to find a different avenue to get there that'll actually allow me to create change, versus trying to do it this way and realizing I'm going to constantly hit a wall. So my thing is, and I say that to say this, because I'm never someone who's going to shit on teachers, because there's some fire ass amazing educators out here. And I like, if that is what you want to do and that's your goal, and you love like being able to affect the change that you can affect with these kids, because they do need it. Like they need the person who they can go to when they're in these white spaces dealing with all this shit, right? Like they need the person to go to that understands their life and the way they move, how they act, their vernacular, the shit that like other teachers be tripping off of. And you'd be like, well, Black people, we roast each other all the time. It's not disrespect. It's just a roast. And you out here getting sent to the office for that shit, you know? And they get your life. Like, they do need that 100%. So I never want to downplay that at all. But I just was like, I'm never going to have the impact that I have the vision for if I stay in this lane. I got to figure out another way to do it. And so I know where I'm at now is not necessarily where I think I'm going to be able to do that. But I do think it's allowing me to have a lot of experiences that are helping me learn a lot. And also it gives me more balance. So I have the time to really envision and manifest what I want. But I mean, you and I talked about it before. Like I want to have a center, and I want it to have so many aspects for the community. I love creatives. Like, and if you follow me on Instagram, you know, I'm always talking about creatives and entrepreneurs, and you know, I'm down as fuck for Oakland and the Bay Area. But I just want a hub for creators to have the space to create. I want to have a place that has writers' rooms, podcast studios, like entrepreneurial classes, music recording studios. Like, I want us, people around me, BIPOC people, and the youth to have a place to go do these things without having to like scrounge and figure that shit out on their own. Like, yeah. I don't mind doing, like, I'm not shy about hard work. Like, I'm never scared of hard work. I'll do the hard work to get it to provide for others. Like, I'm with that. And all of it works towards, you know, community and freedom. And so my thought has always been like, I would love to just have a hub that creatives can use for whatever it is their thing is. And, you know, part of your paying it back is you provide classes for kids that want to learn whatever your trade is that you're really good at, and help the community progress and move forward, and also have a space for kids to be able to come and be kids. Like, that's my biggest thing as an educator. Yeah. I've always said that from day one is I watch so many kids around me, they don't have a childhood because they're having to take care of their siblings. They're having to work. They're having to do this. They've got all these traumatic experiences. I want you to have a space to come in, take all that shit off, just be a fucking kid, laugh, have a good time, know people gonna love you, love on you. And when you gotta go home, like, this has gotta be the place you look forward to come back to the next day. Like, that's what I want. And so it's just figuring out how to build that. Of course, I'm also thinking like it could double as an event space too. So like if you want to have your yoga classes there, and just also even have a sliding scale for pay. Like, if you just starting out and it's your first business and you trying to whatever, like, great, like, let's not pay, you know, whatever. But also, if you have a poppin' ass yoga business, pay a little more and be okay with that to allow this other person to start their business. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm very about creating a community and creating an ecosystem so that everybody thrives and everybody's doing good. So I'll never lose sight of like making sure I take care of kids. Mm-hmm.